A client of mine sent these over to be restored. I don't know when exactly these shoes released, but they're starting to crumble. I was carefully removing the uppers from the midsole, but I was also noticing that the patent leather was also peeling off. I didn't know the patent leather was going to be this brittle when I took on the project, but I didn't want to return to the client empty-handed. So I looked up a few websites that sold leather. District Leathers popped up in my Google search, so I went ahead and bought some black patent leather made from kambing. I'm using a heat gun on the rubber sole so it could help me melt the glue. It's going to be a whole lot easier with the glue melted to remove the soles off the shoe. The quality of the patent leather that they use is very low. It's more of a vinyl wrap. And you can just see it peels so easily. Before I can replace the patent leather, I have to detach the strobo board that's holding the shoe together. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to cut the stitching that's holding the patent leather in place. I took the material and scanned it in my computer so I could make a template. Before I use my Cricut cutter to cut out the replacement patent leather, I'm going to make a test piece first. I want to make sure all the grooves and curves are exactly the same. So I'm just going to use some scrap leather first just to see how it looks like. Once I was happy with the results, I went straight to cutting up a piece of patent leather. I still don't have enough experience with the sewing machine or even with the Chinese patcher machine that I just bought. So I'm using my sewing machine just to add the stitch holes first, so I'm not actually threading it. And then I'm gonna go to my Chinese patcher machine to apply the thread. I'm still having trouble making sure my stitch lines are straight, so it's gonna take a lot of practice for me to get it down. I have been practicing on the sewing machine, making sure my stitch lines are straight by cutting up some swooshes, and thankfully there is some improvement. So I'm using a pair of tweezers to remove any excess thread that I missed. I'm also gonna lay down the fabric that was originally attached to the faux patent leather. Now that I think about it, I don't really think I needed to do this step because the patent leather that I'm using is more stiff compared to the one that was originally on the shoe. And I'm using double-sided tape to lay down the patent leather on the shoes. With the patent leather laid down and the stitch holes pre-made, I'm using my Chinese patcher machine to lay down the threading. This was one of the hardest projects I've done since I'm totally new to doing any of these steps, so it was definitely a first time for me. After the patent leather has been stitched up, I'm gonna re-sew the strobo board back to the patent leather. I actually saw this YouTube shorts that showed this person restitching a pair of shoes with a strobo board with this method, and I'm using one thread to help me restitch the strobo board. The client suggested a great idea to dye the midsoles before painting them. So before I apply the dye, I'm stripping the original midsole paint with some cotton balls and acetone. I'm not too worried about getting the dye on the rubber sole since I could take it off easily with acetone and cotton balls. After I've let the dye soak in the midsole for a few hours, I'm going to take any excess off with cotton balls and acetone. Then I'm going to use my Angelus black paint to paint over the midsole. I still need to remove the factory glue that's still left on the toe box, so I'm just using cotton balls and acetone to remove any of the factory glue because we don't want to have anything get in the way of our re-glue. I put a last in the shoes so they can have some stability because I'm gonna need the shoes to be stable and draw a line where the midsole touches the upper. And then I'm gonna use that line as a guide to shave down the pant leather with the Dremel. This is gonna help bond the midsole to the upper. I'm not gonna lie, this part was very hard for me because if I slip up and Dremel past that line, it's all bad. I don't get how Nike was able to do this without damaging the threads that's holding the strobo board together. Before I bond the shoes together with adhesive, I'm gonna clean the midsoles off with cotton balls and acetone. I'm gonna start off on the toe box first, so I'm gonna lay down a thin layer of bark cement super stick. I'm gonna let it cure for about 8 to 10 minutes. Then I'm going to reactivate the glue with heat and then carefully line them up perfectly and then bond them together. After I finish the toe box, I'm gonna focus on the heel next. I'm gonna finish up the sides and stress test any parts that I re-glued and just fix any separations that I can see. These shoes came out pretty good. I'm so glad that I took on this project. If you guys enjoyed this restoration video, make sure to subscribe. Liking the video does help me a lot and I appreciate your guys' support. I'll see y'all in the next video.